I think it's safe to say y'all's win is probably the best of the season. How does that reflect on chemistry or just the way that you approach, a practice like today?
Yeah, I think, you look at our last outing against the Spurs, chemistry and accountability was at a high, our energy was at a high. It's something that we have to continue to keep working on and keep talking about.
One of the things you mentioned after the game that I neglected to follow up on is you said that when you guys got into San Antonio, there was no practice schedule, but guys went and worked out on their own. Where did they do that, and how did that happen?
At the arena, we always try to get a gym for guys who want to go shoot, and so majority of the team went to shoot when we got in.
Okay.
So
just did that on their own, or?
Yeah, it's always available. It's an optional thing, and most of the guys went to go shoot. We had two groups, and so it just shows the care factor and who they are, always working on their craft.
You guys, obviously, last time you guys played Denver, you were coming off back-to-back, and they had rest. But do 30-point losses stick with teams when they, and they're about to play the same with that opponent again?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it really sticks. I think until you bring it up, because there's so many games to be played, so many pages of the book to be turned. But we can talk about that tomorrow. Also, they're coming off a back-to-back this time, so we definitely know we have to do better. Denver's one of the best teams in this league. They're well coached, and so we have to protect home.
How do you make adjustments off from a game like that at 30 points? Is it easier just because it's a lot easier to point at things that went wrong, or?
No, we didn't shoot the ball well, and you give them credit. They played well, and so there is no excuse to be able to lose like that, but it happens. You learn from it, and I think we learned from it, and we move forward. But I think no matter if you lose by 30 or if you lose by 1, there are always teaching moments, and so we'll learn from that game too.
Good in here. All right, we're going to jump to Zoom real quick. Ian, go ahead.
Hey, James, a question off the beaten path a little bit.
All right.
When you think of NBA rivalries, how have you seen those rivalries change, and are rivalries as big a deal as they used to be in the 90s?
That's a great question. I think there's the rivalries. When there was the Lakers, Celtics, Philly, Celtics. You look at I guess the bad blood between organizations or teams. But with so much movement and free agency, it's always changing, and so I think the rivalries have kind of gone away a little bit in the sense of, there's so much player movement these days. Teams don't really, stay together like they did in the 80s and 90s.
Stefko, go ahead.
Hey, Jason, when you look at a guy like what do you try to take away most from them and make you such a good passer? Obviously, score. Is there something you try to say? Well, let's limit this.
Yeah. No, he's our MVP. So it's hard. He understands how to play the game at a high level. You try to take away, a little of everything, but he puts so much pressure on because he knows how to pass at a very high level. And just understand he can stretch you out, he can shoot the three, he can put you in the post. So, and there hasn't been anything he hasn't seen. So you just try to make it tough on him and make him work on the defensive end.
That'll do it. Thanks for your time today,
All right,
Jason.
thanks
Appreciate
guys.
you.
Have a good Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. We're going to start in the room, and then we'll jump to Zoom real quick. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I asked Coach Kidd this a little while ago. When you lose to a team by 31 points, even given the circumstances, you guys were on a back-to-back and they had rest. Is that something you guys think about when you're going to play those guys again?
I mean, yeah. You always got to look back on last time he played, especially if it was recently, yeah, it wasn't our best showing. We just gotta find a way for us just to stay connected. No, we can't use being tired as an excuse. And I'm not saying we did, but it could be subconscious. But hey, we're rested now. It's another opportunity for us to not just show the world, but to show us what type of team we are.
Jason mentioned that a lot of that was you guys just missed shots. Do you feel like shots are finally coming around after Friday's game, or is there still a feeling that you guys have, just mathematically and just over the course of time, like more shots are going to go in?
Yeah, we have guys who work way too hard with the numbers, whatever the numbers are showing.
Right.
I mean, we can't really look too deep into that. We're a team of talent. We can shoot the ball, has the ability to make shots. So, I mean, the ball will start going in for us. But as long as we just keep defending and sticking to whatever game plan that we have, we'll be okay.
If you were to pick a couple of traits of, like, when you look on your wins and your losses, what would you say kind of separates? Because it seems like the losses have been kind of on the big side, and the wins, some have been close. But
yeah. I mean, our losses have been real losses. Like, you can't do anything about that. But I honestly wouldn't trade anything for that because we're learning. We're learning. We're going to continue to learn from every loss, and we're going to continue to learn from wins too. But as long as we keep getting better every day and just focus on the next day mentality, we're going to keep striving to get better.
You guys good? Okay. Ian, go ahead.
Hey, Jalen, a question a bit off the beaten path here. When you think of NBA rivalries and how they've changed throughout time and history, do you feel that the player movement now kind of limits those rivalries from growing the same way they used to?
You mean with players like going to different teams and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think everything now is so individualized when it comes to rivalries. It's always a player versus a team versus team. I guess we individualize these rivalries, and then it kind of turns into team versus team rivalries. So everything's really individualized. So I mean, that's really it.
Landon, go ahead.
Hey Jalen, there's been a lot of chatter from the national media standpoint that Luka cannot make you guys better. From your standpoint, what are your thoughts about that? And how is it playing with him as a playmaker that he is?
It's great playing with him. I enjoy it. Ever since we got drafted together, our friendship's grown every day. He's a leader on and off the court. He's a person who everyone looks towards. He's been putting this organization on his shoulders the past three and a half years. So, am I answering your other question?
Cool. Thanks for your time, Jalen. Appreciate you.
Thank you.